All right. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Ecstatic Business Show, Sacred Success Stories. I'm really excited to introduce you to Kelsey Reidl. I have an unpronounceable last name. I didn't even think to check. How do we pronounce your last name, Kelsey?
You actually pronounced it perfectly. Most people say Reidl because they've watched Grease before and the high school is Reidl High. So I usually get that, but you said it right. It's like a horse
Oh,
bridle without the B. So Reidl.
oh, I love
Yeah.
that mnemonic. Yes. Okay. So, Kelsey Reidl, we are so excited to dive into marketing. And I feel like this is such a hot topic for female entrepreneurs. And there's so many mixed signals in our marketplace of what should we be doing? Should we be posting on Instagram? Should we be doing TikTok? Should we be doing LinkedIn? Should we be creating content? Should we not be creating content? Like, what is going to be the best tactics for us to reach our audience? And Kelsey, today we're going to kind of take a step back and really think through strategies. But I really want us to start with, what is your mission? What are you passionate about?
hmm My mission is to make marketing fun again. Like if we think back
Mm,
hundreds and hundreds of years, marketing wasn't so complicated. It wasn't so overwhelming. Today, we're like, I got to be on Pinterest. I need to have a complicated click funnel. I need to spend thousands on Facebook ads. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What are we actually trying to do here? We're trying to share that we can solve a problem for somebody
mhm.
who is encountering a challenge, right? And there is no one size fits all marketing plan, but there's so many voices coming at us saying you have to
Yeah.
do it this way or this way. And oftentimes when entrepreneurs think, okay, I got to invest in this course and follow this step by
Mhm.
step blueprint, it doesn't work for them. And then they wonder, am I the failure? Why didn't this work?
Mm.
So and so said I should be on Pinterest and I'd get 1,000 followers, but that didn't happen. And oftentimes, what we uncover is that's not the best way for this person to spend their time to promote their product, to get visible. We really need to reel it back in and say, what is your mission around your own personal marketing strategy? How can we tap into
Mhm.
your unique skill set? So, Caitlin, if you are so vibrant when you're public speaking, we don't want you sitting behind Instagram creating really 2D captions. We don't want you just writing a blog because you hate writing. I want you on stages. I want you to create your own stages and
Mm.
just start talking. Turn on Facebook Live, turn on YouTube, record yourself in a vlog
Mhm.
because you are gifted at speaking. And it's so interesting when we really come back to the principle that marketing is energy. If you go into any sort of marketing or funnel strategy that someone guides you to and you don't feel lit up by it, it ripples into the message, the way you create the content, the way you reach out and make a connection. If you've ever gotten a cold email that you knew was a template that somebody copy and pasted,
Yeah.
what do? You just delete it. It's like there's an energy behind that. I am not interested in the pitch you've sent to 9,458 other people. Ignore, right? So I think when we really think about my mission, which also translates to my clients, it's let's make marketing fun again. And I show clients
Mm.
exactly how to do that and to reconnect with their inner marketer. Let's turn off the noise of the world and reconnect. We know what's going to work to connect with our dream clients.
Mm.
We just have to tune in and honestly shove away everything you have heard or tried and let's get back to basics.
Oh, I love that because I do think it's so easy for us to be pursuing shiny objects and allowing other people's ideas of our marketing to influence us. And what you're really saying is like, let's tap into your inner intuition. Let's tap into your own passion. Let's tap into your unique skill sets and talents and
Mm-hmm.
craft a strategy that feels fun, that feels so the way I think about it is like soul fulfilling. Like I want there to be a soul gain, not drain when I'm doing
Yes.
my marketing efforts. Otherwise, it's just not sustainable.
You got it.
I
And I
love that.
love starting any type of workshop or client relationship with a quick exercise where we literally just draw a line down a page and we draw a full battery and an empty drained battery.
Mm,
And I just say, where in the past 60 days have you felt like you really came alive as it relates to marketing, brand awareness, anything you worked on in the business? And people will be like, well, I got interviewed on Caitlin's show called The Ecstatic Way. And it was really fun. I loved it. And I just felt like I was myself. And I'm like, okay, add that to column one. Where have you
Hmm.
felt really drained? They're like, well, I took this course and I started running Facebook ads and I don't know, I wasted like 14 hours. I'm out $500 and I didn't even get any leads. And honestly, I'm very confused by the whole platform. Okay, write that there. And then we really start
Hmm.
to ask ourselves, okay, so in column one, things that are giving you energy when it comes to marketing, building brand awareness, did any of these produce a return on investment? Like, did you
Hmm.
spend time on Caitlin's show and then you actually got a client out of it? You
Right.
did. Okay, so let's double down on that. Let's do more of that because there's kind of like a win-win happening here. You love it and it produces results. And it's so interesting that oftentimes 80% of our clients are coming from 20% of our marketing effort. So what is that 20%?
I love that. And using that Pareto principle, really starting with the passion and then looking at ROI. So it's not just let's look at the things that are making you money, but what are the things that are lighting you up? And
Yeah,
I would imagine, because this just makes sense, that frequently there is a correlation between the things that light us up and
you
the
got
things that bring in
it.
abundance. Like that just makes perfect sense to me. Now,
Yeah.
I know you have worked with some amazing people. You have your own successful podcast, A Visionary Life, one of the top podcasts in Canada. You've gotten to work with people like Google, Bumble, Salesforce, Staples. Like you have an amazing marketing track record. But as we talk about on the show, it isn't always mountain tops and roses on this journey.
Yeah.
What really, when was a turning point for you when you kind of hit one of those valley moments and you really decided to be passionate about this mission of making marketing fun again?
Absolutely. So I'll kind of rewind almost 10 years ago. So I was working for
Yeah.
one of Canada's top health food companies called Vega, and they're a plant based protein. And 10 years ago, plant based protein was not really a thing. Even the
Hmm.
word plant based, people associate it with chalky or vegan, and nobody really wanted to
Yeah.
come near us when we were doing demos. But my job was as an experiential marketing specialist here in Ontario, Canada, where I live. So I drove all around the province and I set up these activations, these pop up shops, and we would bring the brand to life. So I would be there, we would be
Mm.
riding a blender bike, mixing up green smoothies, saying, hey, Caitlin, do you want to try a sample as you walked into a Whole Foods grocery store? And I was tasked with essentially giving out as many samples as possible every single week. So most weeks I had to hand out 1,000 samples of Vega. And what we saw was that that often translated into hundreds and $1,000s of sales afterwards.
Mm.
So this was really fun for me because it was marketing, but it really felt like community building. It felt very authentic. All I was doing was saying, hey, would you like to try a sample? And then eventually building a team of people to be at all the grocery stores, to be at all the finishes of marathons and races, handing out Vega, but more than anything, just bringing the brand to life. So this was one of my earliest entry points to marketing.
Hmm.
After I ended up leaving Vega, I got very much into the online marketing world. I was a nutritionist, so I decided once I was done with Vega to build my nutrition business. And I started taking all these courses, and they were very much rooted in you have to sell with urgency, rub salt in people's wounds, tell them they're never going to
Mm.
achieve their goal unless they invest money with you. And use scarcity, like there's only three left
Hmm.
and you must. And it's more of like this bully marketing, I would call it. It's like you're like
Hmm.
shoving someone into an offer. And so as I started following these courses, I was like, this doesn't feel great, but I'm going to test it out because this dude over here is saying that this is the way to build your online business. And coming from a world where I was immersed in real experiences at Vega, then all of a sudden to this online world where it was like, okay, I'll
Mm.
build the funnel. Like I'll do it if it's going to work. I felt like they were two extreme opposite ends of the spectrum. And
Hmm.
one day I had this wake up moment that there has got to be a better way. It feels icky the way I have built my online nutrition business.
Mm.
I don't like pushing people into a sale because what I found was that there was often buyer's remorse. Like I would sell a
Right.
detox program and say, until 6 p.m., it's 50% off. Let me know ASAP. But then the next morning, the person who had purchased it didn't seem very excited. They didn't even want to book their
Mm.
onboarding call with me. And they weren't joining the Facebook group. And some people would say, hey, I actually had a change of heart. I'm not sure I'm ready for a 30-day detox program right now. And what I realized was that I was kind of pushing people into making decisions rather than allowing them to experience or feel my energy and make an informed decision on their timeline and to really assess whether this was the right next step for them. And that's
Hmm.
what I would call safety marketing, prioritizing the
Mm.
buyer's safety in all of this so that when they make a choice to invest their hard earned money with you, they feel excited. They've actually
Hmm.
run through, do I have the finances for this? Is this the best time for me to get started? And so, what I really had to do was reconnect with my marketing roots of working for Vega. Of, oh, yeah, it's great to have a conversation. What are somebody's goals before you sell them a
Yeah.
$70 tub of protein? Have they tried a sample before you sell them a flavor? Do they want to stick around and just ask you questions about nutrition and maybe share a personal health goal that they have in mind? And then you can say,
Yeah.
I actually have the perfect product for you, Caitlin. I'm going to talk about it. I'll share it. You can even hold the tub, or, you can even sample my type of course or my detox program. And then if you like it, let me know. And I'd love to offer you a 10% discount. Very, very different energy. So for me, that was a huge wake up call in reconnecting to a marketing strategy that really lit me up, that felt like an
Mm.
authentic expression versus following somebody else's blueprint of success, and really
Hmm.
prioritizing buyer safety at the end of the day.
I love that idea of like prioritizing buyer safety as if like this, your psychological well-being is important to me. Because you're right. I do think that there is a lot of this hustle, push, and I'll just say masculine, right?
Yeah.
Energy that has been like brought down to us. I know when I was studying sales, it was the same thing. Like every book was written by a man, and all of the techniques felt like they had been like developed in the 80s,
Yep.
and nothing new was out there. Now, what's interesting to me is like I do recognize that we do have evolutionary brains that
Yep.
have things like FOMO, that this is really effective. We do get
Definitely.
30% higher click rates on negative ads than positive ads, right? So we have a negativity bias that's just inherent in our buying patterns.
Mhm.
And I think that, like, so what I want to push in is like, how do you respond to that? Because we do have people who are saying, yep, this is how people buy, and therefore we're going to leverage what works because we're going to do this. What would be your response to that person of like, yeah, you're going to get a, and maybe this is the question is like, is it worth getting a 30% lower return like on clicks just so you can make people feel warm and fuzzy?
Yep.
Or is your argument that you haven't seen that drop in clicks, that counterintuitively, even though we're using different principles, that we're still getting
Mhm.
really great results? So kind of just give me your feedback on that. Yeah, that approach.
Absolutely. So, anytime I'm working with a client and we're starting to build out their marketing plan, which we know marketing often leads into sales, right? So, you can kind of use the
Right.
two interchangeably, but oftentimes it's the marketing and the visibility that ends up
Mm-hmm.
queuing somebody up to be able to say, here, I made this, it's $1,000. Would you like to buy it? So, I am a firm believer that if we do our job as marketers and we are lit up, we're having fun, we're
Mm-hmm.
prioritizing strategies that really feel good, the sale becomes super easy. But we still
Mm-hmm.
have to really think like, what is an effective way to move somebody from becoming aware of the
Yep.
brand to moving through our funnel to actually purchasing? And so, like you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
conversions are a huge portion of that. Like if you're bringing everyone into your world and just giving, 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 and you feel uncomfortable saying, I made this thing, it's $1,000, and there is truly only 10 spots in my group program, then we're kind of missing the point because you can't stay in business because you're not earning money. So, what
Right.
I always suggest is picture your version of a marketing and buying sanctuary. And I know this might be a
Mm.
brand new concept to anyone watching, but I often think, what is like a place where you feel super cozy, safe? It's in my mind like an A-frame cabin in the woods. There's beautiful pine
Mm.
trees. There's a couch with a furry blanket. There's nice, freshly brewed organic coffee sitting in front of us. And I invite my friend into my A-frame cabin. And she's saying, Kels, I'm so overwhelmed with marketing. I really want to go all in on my personal training business, but I'm not getting clients. My website sucks. And I'm terrified to show up on social media. And so I say, okay, come on in, Alice, sit down beside me. Let's grab a coffee. Here's a fresh scone. And we're sitting together, shoulder to shoulder. First, I'm going to hold space for her and like really listen. Okay, what's going on? Then once I know what her challenges are, I'm going to say, all right, I have this program for you. Let me explain it. Actually, do you want me to pull out my laptop? I want to show you a kind of an overview of how the course works. Oh, and you know what? I just talked about this on my Instagram stories. Let me show you how cool it is. Oh my gosh, you would never believe I have 10 DMs right now of people who want to purchase my SEO course. Instagram is truly an incredible tool. The fact that we can tap into people on our phone. And I'm just genuinely speaking to the different points of differentiation of how I can help her. At the end of that conversation, inside of this sanctuary where I'm helping Alice to really see what's possible for her personal training business, and I'm excited, I'm genuinely saying, oh, you could teach a workshop in town. Oh my gosh, what about running free boot camps? At that point, I do want to make a sale. So in a way that feels comfortable in my buying and marketing sanctuary, or selling sanctuary, I want to say, you know what? I really think we could get started tomorrow. Knowing that summer is coming up, you could actually start these boot camps as early as 2 Fridays from now. And if you get 50 people out to those boot camps, I am certain you'll convert at least 5 of those into your Mama Reset program. So I feel like there's such a way to use these principles of bro marketing, like the urgency, scarcity, like people need to make a decision. They need you to give them an invite to say, yes, I want this, or no, I don't. But I think that there's just a reframe around either bullying people or just nudging them into a safe marketing and sales funnel.
Yeah, I love that. And the way I kind of think about it, because I am obviously on the sales side, that's where I got my start. And so it's always been, I always joke like, sales is science, marketing is magic, right? So sales, everything is the same. If you give me somebody who raises their hand and says, yes, I have a problem, it's very easy for me to sell them a solution. So that buying process is almost universal within a B2B or a B2C track. So B2B decision-making processes are slightly different than B2C simply because there's multiple decision makers. So you're basically layering multiple B2C decision-making processes on top of each other, and there's usually differing priorities. So it's just a more complex sale, but humans are humans, right? We have a problem, we do our research, we trust the person, we make a buy. Like we say, yes, I'm ready to invest. But everything leading up to that point of the hand, like I'm raising my hand and I say I have a problem, it's like, well, we have infinite possibilities, right? We have 8 billion people to work with, and we have probably that many channels to choose from. You have to make up your marketing message from scratch, and we're not really going to know what resonates until we actually get people who pay you money. So for me, it's the most insane thing to try and create a marketing strategy from scratch. So what's really helped me is kind of thinking about this as like phases. So starting with symptom aware, right? So it's most easy to start with people who are symptom aware. They have a pain point already. We don't have to convince people that they have a pain point. Now, we can do that too in our marketing, but starting with people who already have a pain, and I think this is really important for my heart-centered sales people, is like the entrepreneurs, they don't want to cause pain. What I want to help them realize is your people are already in pain, right? There's already some gap, and that's why you need to, like, you are providing a solution for a gap. If you're not, then you don't have a business, right? If you have just something like, well, it's nice to have, then you haven't thought through your marketing strategy. And you're not going to have intrinsic urgency. And I think for me, that's one of the bigger issues is like, when somebody's like, well, how do I increase urgency? I'm like, well, they need to tell you, why does this need to shift now?
Yes.
As opposed to waiting, right? So this fake scarcity, we only have 3 spots when really you could take 300 people is garbage, right? Because it's out of alignment, it's out of integrity, and it's not truthful, right? But to say like, what is your intrinsic motivation? Why do you need to shift this today as opposed to tomorrow?
Mm.
Then you're letting their own pain drive it. So you're not causing pain. You're not invoking fear. You're simply leveraging their already state of pain and fear and saying, okay, let's just hold space for you to be really honest about
Yep.
what's really going on. Because most people don't have any space where they can be open and honest about their pains and their fears. And so it's a gift to have a salesperson who can hold that sacred space for you to be
Mm.
really honest about your pains and your fears.
Mm-hmm.
From there, then I think of marketing as educating to the problem. So it's like, here's what you think the problem is. Here's the actual problem. So to use like a horrifically dramatic example, right? Let's say your client had a headache, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the symptom. That's the pain. My head hurts. And they're like, I probably didn't have enough sleep. I'm trying to drink more water. I've popped some pills and aspirin, but it just won't go away. And you're like, well, let's do an MRI. And you discover that they have a brain tumor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Popping pills and drinking water is not going to solve this. We need to get you into surgery immediately and shift this, right? The doctor is not having to sell a solution. All he's really doing is correctly diagnosing the problem,
Yep.
right? And so for me, the biggest epiphany when I started having to do my own marketing was realizing, oh, most people are walking around thinking I have a mediocre pain with a problem I can solve myself. And
Yeah.
it's my job, hopefully I have a business model that resonates with this, where to say like, the pain's actually worse than you're acknowledging, because we have a body, like a physical instinct and a psychological instinct to numb our pain centers, right? The pain's actually worse than you think, but more importantly, you've been misdiagnosing the problem,
Yep.
right? In your case, Kelsey, it's like you've been trying to do all of the TikToks and all of the Instagrams, and none of your clients are there. Right? Like you
Yep.
have just misdiagnosed your problem is you don't
Mm-hmm.
need to create more content, you need to give more value. And this shift means that we need to go where they are and meet them where they're at and have a deep conversation, right? So when you can re-diagnose the problem
Mm-hmm.
and they can buy into your framework and say,
Yep.
oh yeah, you're right. I do have a brain tumor, right? I do need this solution. Then selling the solution is very easy. You say, okay, well, now that you know what the problem is, you don't have to hire me as your doctor. You can hire
Yep.
somebody else as your doctor. Totally fine. But if you'd like to work with me, this is how I solve the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to solve this problem, you need 1, 2, or 3. Do you think you can do that by yourself, or would you like support? I'd like support. Fantastic. This is my package. We do 1, 2, and 3. It's exactly what you need to solve your problem. It's going to get rid of that pain and offer you a new opportunity. Here's what it looks like for us to get started. And then they're like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, this is amazing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that, as we're talking about that continuity of sales and marketing, like having started on the sales side, I can't not approach every conversation from that angle of like, no, really,
Mm-hmm.
how do we get this this messaging lined up so that we
Yep.
are only talking to the people with the right pain, with the right problem, so that we are the right solution, and it's inevitable that they want to
Mm-hmm.
work with us.
I love this so much. And I just feel like you and I are on very similar wavelengths and have very complementary thought processes around this. But
Mm-hmm.
the way that one of my first mentors framed it to me was, Kelsey, nobody cares about your boat. And I don't know if you've heard this
Mm.
analogy before, but when you think about two islands in the ocean, on island A, people are miserable. They have poor health, that
Mm-hmm.
headache, that migraine every day. They wake up, they don't even want to look at the light or go out into nature because it pains them. And then on island B, they see that people live headache free and they are walking around and they're able to live life, go to work, turn a reading light on without pain. They don't really care what type of boat comes to rescue them off of island A,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's like a hypnotherapist or whether it's a doctor
Mm-hmm.
to remove their
Yeah.
brain tumor or whether it's a nutritionist to take out gluten. They're just like, I just want to get off island A. So if we sit here and
Mm-hmm.
we're like, I'm a marketing consultant, I've worked with Google, I'm the best. That's great. But again, we need to really speak to what you're saying. What is their pain? Call them in with that, create valuable content around that. Do an email series that comes off of a free webinar that's like, I
Mm-hmm.
understand what you're going through. and
Yep.
share your own experience and share your clients and be like, and at the end, I'm very passionate. So click here if you want to take my headache program versus saying like, I'm
Yep.
the best nutritionist in town. You must book me. I solve all problems. So I very much
And
echo
that's
exactly what you're saying.
right. And that's your problem is a lot of us are going around like holding up our solution, like, hey, I have a nutrition program. But your
Yes,
ideal client hasn't even acknowledged that they have a nutrition problem, right?
exactly.
They're just saying,
Exactly.
I don't fit into my dress anymore, right?
Yep.
That's a pain point. And then we have to say, okay, the reason you don't fit into your dress anymore is because you're not eating the right foods for your body type. In order for
Exactly.
us to find the right foods for your body type, you need to get into my nutrition course where we can do labs and we can tell
Yep.
you what is your ideal. Like, so you just need to be able to start where they are. What are the things
Yep.
that they are actively complaining about? And
Mm-hmm.
ideally, you're using their words. So if
Yep.
you don't know how to describe your client's pain in your client's words, you just haven't done enough interviews. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
haven't talked to enough people because
Yep.
they will tell you, right? If you are listening,
Yep.
you can't keep them from complaining to you about their problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, and we're going to get into your 3 tips, but this, I really feel like you said, it starts with listening. It starts with just
Yep.
hearing where they really are, creating space for them to be comfortable enough to
Mm-hmm.
share what's really going on in their world. It is inviting them to sit next to you on the couch with a
Yep.
cup of coffee and just word vomit and kind of share, this is what everything that is not working in my life right now, and go from
Exactly.
there.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. I couldn't agree more. This is a conversation after my own
Mm,
heart.
yes, I love this. Okay, so let's say people are sold. They're like, you're right. I do want a marketing plan that feels fun, that's aligned with my intuition. It feels soul fulfilling. What do I do? Like, what are 3 things that we could share if you're a female entrepreneur and you want your marketing to feel more fun, to feel more energizing, as well as get you more
Mhm.
clients? What would you
Yep.
recommend? Where do we start?
Absolutely. So, what I would say is first go back to that exercise before you even begin thinking about marketing or just the main ingredients that you need to create content for. I would just first do the exercise of what brings you energy, what drains your energy. And then once you have a
Hmm.
list with 3 items on both sides, I really want you to look at that and say, are there certain things that I'm already doing or already pouring into that truly make me feel lit up, that are bringing me clients or getting me exposure, or at the end of the day, if it's just impacting another human being, maybe it
Hmm.
hasn't produced results yet, focus on that first. So really think, is there something that you do naturally that your friends are often saying, wow, Kelsey, you're really good when you speak, or oh my gosh, I just love reading your captions on Instagram, or anytime you send me an email, it has such an interesting subject line, or you have such an eye for design. So, what do people
Hmm.
tell you, or what do you think they're talking about when you're not around? And then I really want you to root down into, is there some sort of way that I can make this part of my marketing strategy? So, that is
Mm.
step one. Once you choose that one thing, so maybe you're like, you know what? I'm really good at talking. I just sometimes imagine I have a stage of 10 people and I'm like, you need to be on the keto diet. Here's why it's really important. Or maybe you're super passionate that women should be strength training. And you're like, I don't know. I just want to preach to the choir. We don't need to be on the treadmill all day. So think about, okay, how can I create content using this medium that allows me to express myself? And then I want you to zero in on 1 or 2 ways that you can do that. So perhaps you're like, okay, podcasts are really big right now. And also Instagram stories, a great chance for me to create my own little daily reality show. So those are going to be the first 2 items that you put at the top of your funnel. And like you mentioned, Caitlin, at the top, we're really just trying to promote awareness. We want to pull people in, bring them a little closer to us. Maybe they have no idea who I am, but then I put out a post about how women often feel low energy and like their hormones are out of whack. And then at the bottom, I
Hmm.
say the answer is strength training, or DM me for my free guide to move through this challenging phase of life. So that could be kind of the top
Hmm.
of the funnel. But it's not really enough to just constantly pump out podcast episodes and Instagram stories. We really need to nurture the people that are leaning in. So if you can imagine,
Mm,
if you were giving a talk, there'd probably be people in the front row that are like, that's so, and like they start coming closer. People do this on Instagram. They do this when they're listening to your podcast, even though you can't see them, but they might message you and say, that was a really good show. And they're the
yeah.
ones that are leaning in. And this is the opportunity for us to decide, how are we going to nurture people? How are we going to then invite them into an experience with us? So tip number 2 is, don't try to convince people to work with you. Stop sending them like all these sales, like every single week. It's like 10% off this program, 20% off this program. See if you can lean in and give them a micro experience. Maybe that's jumping
Mm,
on a sales call, a free 10-minute call. Maybe that's inviting them to a local workshop that you're hosting. Maybe that's going really deep with them in your Facebook DMs or your Instagram DMs and saying, hey, I see that you commented on that post. Tell me more. What's been going on with your energy levels? I'd love to just chat and see if I can share any value. And you pull them in a little closer, invite them to that experience. So people don't necessarily want more transactions in life. They don't just want to swipe, swipe, swipe their credit card unless it's a commodity item. When I want to hire a service professional, I want to feel their energy. I want to know that I can trust them. I want to get into that micro experience and then decide whether I want to further invest with them. So again,
mhm,
tip 1, really check in with your energy and your skill set and what's bringing you the most joy in building your brand awareness. Step 2,
mhm.
pull people a little closer who are already leaning in. Give them a micro experience. And then what I would say for tip number 3, for somebody who's like, okay, I really want to start using these marketing strategies to grow my business, make more sales, would be to ask yourself, as I'm bringing people in a little closer to the bottom of that funnel, I want you to answer this one question. Why now more than ever does somebody need to hire a sales coach? Why now more than ever should somebody start their strength training journey in their 40s? And that's going to give you a piece of evidence or information of why today is the day for your dream clients to get started. So really mixing in that natural urgency, or maybe something relevant that's going on in the world. Like food prices are rising. Now more than ever, you should hire a meal prepping nutritionist to help you save money. When we answer that question, sometimes it just like ignites us to want to present our offer to people. Why now more than ever do people need what I have created? When you come to that answer, you're going to feel compelled to share it with them. So once you have some sort of positioning around, okay, today's the day because food prices are so high in North America, and I want to help families of 4 to save $100 a week on groceries. Now more than ever, they need my online course that I have created. And then I want you to
Mm.
send out an offer to those people that have been leaning in, who have been waiting, praying for a solution. And then I want you to invite them. So that would be my 3 tips. And it kind of goes in line with what we would call a marketing or sales funnel. But it's a way more casual, enjoyable way to approach it. And I promise you, you'll have people who are just like waiting, begging you to work with you once you've kind of brought them along that journey.
You know, it's so funny. I actually heard 5 points, so I'm just gonna reflect back because we're good enough friends that I can do that.
Please
Like,
do.
actually, here's what I think you just said. So what I heard was number 1, connect to your passion, right? So really
Yes.
ask yourself, what do I already love to do that
Mhm.
fills my battery, that leverages my skill set, that, increases my joy quotient?
Yep.
Number 2 was what we were talking about, is speak to their pain,
Yep.
right? Clarifying your message to speak to the symptoms they're already having and making sure that you just have message alignment with where they already are. You're not
Mhm.
assuming that they're further along in their buying process. You're meeting them to what's already top of mind in their current day-to-day experience. And then the third one is the educating to the problem. This is where we're inviting them into a micro experience where you get to do that. Here's what you think the problem is, here's what the actual problem is. And they get to experience that And it's so interesting because you were like this micro experience, and I was just talking to one of my sales gals because she's like, "Can I give enough value in 15 minutes to really make them interested in learning more about the program?" And I said, "Yes." And it's not, let me give you the solution, right? Because very
Mhm.
frequently coaches, because that's my world, tend to say, "Here's what you need to do to solve your problems." And they're good. They are good. They can create a sense of accomplishment in
Yep.
15 minutes. But the way I think about it is you're really putting a band-aid on like an internal hemorrhaging problem, right?
Yep.
It's going to
Yep.
make your client feel better in that 15 minutes. But if it's taken them decades to develop this problem, you're not going to be able to solve it in minutes, right? There's going to be patterns that need to be unwound. There's going to be wounds that need to be healed. There's going to be habits that need to be reformed. Like there is work that needs to happen. And telling them, making them feel like they can do it on their own, more often than not, is misguiding. And it
Yep.
results in them just spinning their wheels for a little bit longer, right? So you
Mhm.
have to feel really convinced. And this is the thing is like the person who's most convinced is most convincing, right?
Yes. I've
You
never
need to
heard
be
that.
convinced. You need to be convinced that you can actually serve and help this person. And if you are not convinced, you are not going to be able to convince them. So what I tell them is like in 15 minutes, you just have to know them well enough to say, do I love them? Do I see
Mm.
their vision bigger, a bigger vision for themselves than they can see for themselves, right? That's when I close the deal every time, is when I'm
Yep.
like, I know you told me you want to do 100,000 this year, but actually I think you should be doing 1 million. And
I
here's
love that.
how we're going to get you there, right? So when
Mhm.
I can see a bigger vision for them than they can see for themselves, that is the transformation, right? That is the paradigm shift. It's helping them see, even in just 15 minutes, how here's where you've been, here's how you've been thinking, but really, this is what is actually going on, and here's how you need to be thinking about it. And you can create paradigm shifts where they're like, their mind is blown, their eyes
Yep.
are opened, they're seeing things from a whole new light, even in just 15
Mm.
minutes. Or in your case with Vega, tasting plant protein and saying this doesn't taste like chalk, right?
Yep.
Like that experience can be almost instantaneous. So really
Mm.
dialing in what is that micro transformation
Yep.
that helps them to see their world and their problems differently. And then I
Mm.
love, love, love this question. Why now more than ever? Like I have a couple of my clients where we're kind of looking at their offers and their offers feel stale. The market has
Yes.
changed. Their market like is not buying with the same regularity and consistency that they did. And
Yeah.
that is the question that I want to ask them.
I love it.
Why
Yes.
now more than ever? Like that is going to be
Yes.
my biggest takeaway from today's call is you need to figure out what is like it's almost like a SWOT analysis, right?
It is.
What are
Yep.
the internal weaknesses that is their inherent motivation, which we already spoke to, of like,
Yep.
here's why I need to shift this now. But I was just listening to Oren Claff and he was like, every single pitch needs to start with winter is coming, right?
Oh.
And it has to start with here's why you don't even understand the threats on your own horizon, but because I'm the expert, I can tell you what's coming and I can tell you that this is why we need to shift this.
Mm.
And here's why winter is coming isn't even that big of a deal. So Oren always takes it to the next level of winter is coming. That sounds super
Yep.
scary. And we get them to like, oh no, winter is coming, which has to be true, right? We're not into scare
Of
tactics,
course.
but like you should just know why the situation is going to get worse before it gets better. And then
Yep.
he's like, but then you have to explain that winter is coming really is worse than that. It means the Night King is coming, right? And here's why you actually need to be afraid of winter. Like, it's not because you're going to be chilly, it's because you're going to be turned into an ice zombie, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, and so it's like deepening, and this is where we are really using education to build our credibility and to create that inherent urgency
Yep.
simultaneously. And then by the time you get to that last step of just invite them, it's
Mhm.
like the Godfather, make them an offer they can't refuse. Like,
You
how
got
do you
it.
make this offer so freaking irresistible that they
Yep.
would be stupid to say no to it, right? And
Mhm.
so many of my coaches really hate giving guarantees, but
Mm.
since we're on this soapbox, I'm just gonna go with it.
Go for it.
The
Preach.
thing I love about guarantees, it is a force multiplier for every part of your business.
Yep.
When you have a guarantee, it forces your operations team to get their shit together because they
Yep.
need to know we need to do X, Y, and Z in order to consistently deliver this result. So you're telling your ops team, like, build me a sausage making machine.
Yep.
So they're like, okay, great. And then it goes to sales because if you have a guarantee, how easy is it to close a deal? Like, we're going to do this or we'll keep working with you until we do. We know that if you follow this recipe, you're going to get this result. Sales
Mm-hmm.
becomes super easy for people to say yes to when there's a guarantee.
You bet.
But the thing that brings us back to marketing is when you have a guarantee and you've made this beautiful sausage making machine, the whole role of the marketing department is mostly just gatekeeping. Its
Yep.
job is to keep bananas out of the sausage machine, right? It's like
I love it.
we know that we can consistently produce sausages, but not if we're taking on the wrong fit clients. Like we
Yes.
can't promise these results to these people. And
Nope.
so it really helps your marketing department get crystal clear on their demographic and their psychographic because it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I simply can't guarantee these results to somebody who has X, Y, A, B, and C. We can't produce X,
Yeah.
Y, and Z for somebody who has A, B, and C. So now all of your education becomes clearing out. So saying yes to the people who want X, Y, and Z and clearing out the people who are A, B, and C.
Yep.
And that's it. That's all of your marketing is just getting people to say, absolutely, that is the solution I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I can disqualify myself because I'm not this person. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I love guarantees for that reason because it really forces you to just rethink your entire business model and streamline everything, really.
Mm-hmm. And there's a quote that says, "No amount of marketing can sell a bad product." So
Ooh,
it just goes to show, like, if you really, number one, focus on having an amazing, a remarkable product
yeah,
or offer that you sell, you should feel confident guaranteeing it. But if you're trying to
yeah,
market something that is like, I don't think this works, this is kind of a waste of people's money, then you don't feel comfortable offering a guarantee because you're
yeah,
like, it sucks. And then you're running the marketing strategy, driving people to a broken foundation. The business is going to crumble. The sales are going to be, they're going to come in, but they're going to be refunded quickly. So start
right.
with a remarkable offer that you
Yeah.
feel you could guarantee because you're so convicted. And then move into the marketing, the awareness, the education, and ultimately the sale.
Yeah, and I can totally hear people telling me, like, well, I can't guarantee my offer because of this, this, and this.
Yep.
That's the hotspot analysis, right? So if you know that this guarantee would be irresistible to your target people, but you're not sure how you would deliver those results, my solution is that you have a who, not how problem, right?
Mm.
Who could
Yep.
guarantee those results for you? So one of my clients said, well,
Mm.
I want people to launch their course, but I don't have the technical skill set to actually like build out their course and run their first marketing
Mm.
event. And so
Mhm.
I connected her with my buddy who has a done for you like marketing agency. And I was
Yeah.
like, great, you're going to white label him, right?
Mhm.
You're going to have a done for you option where it's not just let me teach you how to make your course, but we're actually going to make it for you in 12 weeks or less. And we're going to charge, honestly, you can triple, quintuple, sometimes
Yep.
10x your pricing when you
Yep.
add a guarantee. Like it is
Love that.
such a dramatic difference. And then you have like you're like, yep, I right now I'm selling a $5,000 offer. If I guaranteed it, I could charge 50,000.
Yep.
Who could you hire for $50,000
Good
that would
question.
solve that problem and make sure that you're consistently getting raving results from your
Mm.
clients? Because
Mm.
that's going to drive. So I think of marketing as a flywheel, right?
Yep.
Sales and
Yep.
marketing. It's like we engage them, we educate with them, we enroll them. Everybody's familiar with those steps. But
Mhm.
4 is evaluate. Are you actually delivering on your brand promise consistently every time?
Yep.
Because that leads into step 5, which is endorse. When you can
Mm.
get your clients to be your salespeople, you don't need to spend a lot of time worrying about what the trend is on TikTok
Mhm.
because you have sometimes paid, sometimes unpaid sales force that's out there in the world being your ambassador, telling people how amazing you are and bringing people your way through word of mouth referrals. So
Exactly.
Oh, Kelsey, I've forgotten how much I love this topic, and you
Me
have
too.
totally awoken my own passion and excitement
Let's do a part
about it, which
two.
is so beautiful. I love it.
Mhm.
Well, let me make sure that people know where to find you. So, uh, let me put the banner up. Kelsey Reidl, Reidl.com.
Mhm.
Uh, and Kelsey with two E's. So, talk a little bit about some of the free resources. What are they going to find when they go to your website?
Absolutely. So we have a podcast. We've been releasing a weekly episode with a top Canadian entrepreneur. So people like Brian Scudamore from 1-800-GOT-JUNK, Chris Guimay, the founder of VeloFix, which is an amazing franchise. We have the Neal brothers. We have Layla Khashoggi, who started Happy Pop. So if you want to be inspired by the best entrepreneurs in Canada and some from North America as well, check out the podcast Visionary Life. There's so much content, over 350 episodes. We also have a blog that is teaching you things like how to grow your email list, why your Instagram bio needs to be rewritten, 5 marketing strategies that cost you no money that are working in 2024. So you can go browse the blog, hundreds of free resources for online business owners, people want to learn about marketing, and you can also find all of my services and courses there as well.
I love this. Oh, Kelsey, this has been so much fun. I really want to just encourage people as you're thinking about the people that you want to serve, right? It's making sure that you want to be a hero to this demographic. Like, I want to save the world. I want to be on point and on mission and serve this community
Yep.
in this really big and powerful way, because that's going to give you the courage to get out of your comfort zone, to shine your light, to be uncomfortable as you
Yep.
start doing that marketing. And then, Kelsey, my biggest takeaway is like, oh, just connect to your own passion, listen to
Yep.
your own intuition, have fun with your marketing, because that's
You
going to
got
attract your ideal clients anyway. I love
it.
this.
Mhm.
Any last words of wisdom, anything that you want to share or just remind people of as we're closing out?
I would say the most important message I can leave your viewers with is just to reconnect with your inner marketer. Inner marketer. Nobody can take over your marketing strategy and do it as well as you can. You know your dream clients best. You know how to find them, to put value in front of them. So sometimes it just takes pausing, going into nature, sipping a really good latte, and just reconnecting. Where are the people I want to help and how can I serve them?
I love this so much. All right. Kelsey Reidl, KelseyReidl.com. Go check her out and check out Visionary Life podcast. Thank you so much, Kelsey. This has been amazing.
Thank you so much, Caitlin.